Welcome. You are tuning in to Around the Table with a Judges podcast presented by Property Guru Property Report, the official magazine of Asia Property Awards and Asia Real Estate Summit. In this special series, you will meet the notable names behind our independent judging panel across our 14 awards markets in 12 countries. Together, we will dive into the nitty-gritty of the judging process, as well as figure out why they are the most deserving to judge leading industry players. Hello, my name is Tina Ryan, and thanks for joining us for another special episode of our Judges podcast. Today, it is with great pleasure that we introduce the esteemed judging panel of the 9th Property Guru Asia Property Awards, Mainland China, Hong Kong, and Macau. Before we proceed, may we have our judges introduce themselves, starting with our dearest chairpersons.
Hello everyone. My name is Ken Ip, and I'm here today representing on behalf of the judging committee from the Mainland China region for this year's Property Guru Asia Property Awards. Very briefly, at a professional level, I'm currently the Assistant General Manager and Group Head of Marketing at BSC Group, in charge of the marketing of the engineering, design, construction, wholesale, and retail business, which include over 200 lifestyle brands. And at a personal level, I enjoy reading a lot and have written 2 books named Life Hacks and Growth Hacks. I'm also an associate professor in marketing technology and is an active speaker, columnist, and commentator in tech, real estate, branding, and e-commerce. And at present, I'm also the chairman of the Asia Market Society and is serving on the board of directors of several professional organizations, including 2 universities. And it's a great pleasure to be here today.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ken. We have the chairperson this time for Hong Kong and Macau, Mr. Paul Che.
Thank you, Tina, and all my fellow judges. What a wonderful occasion. I've been associated with the Asia Property Awards for quite a number of years, and my memory serves me correct. It has been something like 7 or 8 years at least. I have been involved in property development, property investment, and hotel investment for about 30 to 40 years in China, Hong Kong, Macau, US, Canada, Vietnam, and several other countries in Southeast Asia. It's been a wonderful industry and wonderful industry segment to be associated with in the past 30 years. But the past 10 years have been, I think, one of the most fulfilling, given the fact that organizations like the Asia Property Awards have been leading the way, showing us how we can plow ahead with new visions and how we can all help to lift the standards in property sector and the hotel sector towards new directions and towards a new level. I'm just grateful that I've been given this opportunity to work with various judges along the way, all of whom excel in the various areas of expertise, and to work with the participants who over the years have grown from strength to strength. This is the first time, I believe, that we've done a podcast where we are just fortunate to have someone like Tina Ryan joining us, leading the way, showing us how best to present the Asia Property Awards. And with all these fellow judges that I'm working with, I'm learning every step of the way. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tina. Okay, thank you, Chairman. Thank you all. It was a pleasure for me to join the judge team of the award. My name is James Wu. I've been working as a valuer in China over more than 25 years. And I've been working different of asset class and then different of type of property in different province and city of the China. This is all my interest. I'm very keen to look at all the properties and then to value it and then find the interest over there. And beside the property, I also work with all the valuation of other assets like the intangible assets, distressed assets, financial instrument, and different types of the sectors. Not only real estate, some of the area on the and other entertainment, tourism, pharmaceutical, energy, etc. So particularly for personally, my first priority, my interest is property. So thank you for me to have this opportunity. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Gregory Koo. I was the managing director of JAL, Zhongxing LaSalle, Macau and Zhuhai for 16 years. Mainly from 2005, I went there from Hong Kong to set up the company on behalf of Zhongxing LaSalle, and took me 16 years to build the size. Right now is more than 300 staff in the office. And earlier this year, I decided to relocate back to Hong Kong, to be the executive officer, reporting to the managing director in Hong Kong. So I work with him as a consultant. So this is my background.
Thank you, gentlemen. Now for your first question. Since the awards program was established in your respective territories 9 years ago, our independent judging panel has played such a vital role in the program. Though it may seem very straightforward, being a judge can be quite tricky. So can you please explain to our listeners what it is that you do as a judge?
Perhaps I can have a go first if the other gentlemen don't mind.
Of course, please go ahead.
Yeah, sure. As a member of the judging committee, I think first and foremost, we play a very important role in safeguarding and maintaining the standards of the Asia Property Awards to ensure that it remains in the highest quality and the gold standards for the industry. And I guess secondly, it's to help promote and grow the credibility of the awards program in the region. And that's exactly why James, Paul, Gregory, and myself are here today to help broadcast and promote this wonderful event. And I guess aside from our marketing duties, as I said, our job as judges is to ensure that the awards entries are being reviewed and assessed professionally according to the award criteria and guidelines established for each category. And yes, the process can be quite rigorous and demands quite a lot of time and energy. But I think all in all, I felt the experience of judging is very rewarding and very enjoyable, because not often you get the chance and opportunity to be involved and surrounded by such an elite group of industry professionals, and spending time together to share and discuss our thoughts on real estate, architecture, designs, and industry trends. So for me personally, I think the experience is very pleasant and memorable.
Thank you, Chairperson Dr. Kan. Sir Paul, would you like to go ahead?
The way I look at it, the reason why the Asia Property Awards is so successful is the fact that there are three critical elements which have been present every year. And these three critical elements are, I think, number one, the organizational ability of the Asia Property Awards event organizers. Number two, the quality of the participants or entrants. And number three, really the quality of judges. And over the years, I'm so happy to see that there's several elements which have shown through in terms of quality of the judges. The independence, the expertise, the professionalism, and something which not too many people spoke about, the diplomacy. It's a tricky process, as the question itself has pretty much defined one of the qualities. And it's so easy to step on people's toes, including the participants, some of whom might be your clients or potential clients, some of whom are your fellow judges sitting on the panel. And to be able to stand your ground, to continue to be independent, to show your expertise and professionalism, and at the same time discharge your duties, I think calls for diplomacy. And I'm just happy to see that over the years, that quality has shown through. And it's so important to be able to maintain a cordial attitude towards judges, towards participants, towards the organizers. And that is the culture of the Asia Property Awards, which I think have been propelling the award onwards and upwards throughout the years.
Thank you, Dr. Paul. Greg, James, feel free to jump right in.
Well, to add, what did a judge do? The most enjoyable part is inspection. I like to do the inspection for all the applicants, the buildings, either buildings or a mall, or even a fit-out job. I mean, the process is very enjoyable, and I learn a lot of things, and I can make some, comment and views to finally make the decision who is the winner. So the site inspection is very important and enjoyable for me.
Now, I think my professionalism in the valuation of asset will be helping all the judges. To one of the important point regarding on the award is the value of the assets, or maybe in the sustainability of the assets. So I think my professionalism, probably I hope I can help the judge, and also to find out, to list out a most valuable assets and property.
Thank you, gentlemen. Now, your knowledge and expertise in the sector have proven to be beneficial in judging your colleagues' work. Yet, we cannot deny the fact that you will have your own preferences in the process or material or design. Our question is, how do you make sure that you remain unbiased?
Perhaps I can start again if the other gentlemen don't mind.
Certainly.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, honestly speaking, it would be near impossible to eliminate all personal feelings and preferences from judging, especially when it comes down to judging design and aesthetics. I think it's just part of human nature. So that's exactly why we have a panel of judges, and not just relying on one single individual or person that does all the scoring. So in other words, the final results will and must be a collective decision. And also, we go through a very rigorous and extensive evaluation process. So each entry is scored and ranked against a set of specific or specified matrix and criteria that are they're clear, well-defined, and acts as a guideline for the judges. So this helps ensure fairness and standardization during the judging procedure. So in my opinion, helps me as a judge to base my assessment and judgment more objectively.
Chairman Paul?
Well, this question actually is uppermost in my mind every year. Besides the fact that we do have a panel of judges coming from different backgrounds, coming from different cities, actually contributes to the diversity, but at the same time, the impartiality of the panel as a whole. That obviously is point number one. Point number two, which I think is equally important, is that every year the organizer will bring in an independent third-party auditor. Now, these fellows are tough. Once you stray out of the guidelines, they will remind you. And that, I think, is important, because sometimes in the heat of moment of discussions or arguments, one tends, and I do from time to time, tend to be swayed by my bias. And it's important to have fellow judges coming in and reminding me that, hey, you're out of line, fella. And I have seen it happen from time to time. The auditor would step in and say, well, this is not quite on. And I had a chat yesterday when we were having a meeting with the Hong Kong and Macau panel of judges. And I asked the question of the organizer, Jules, that the fact that the organizer is now listed on the New York Stock Exchange, does that impose any additional restrictions on what judges can do or cannot do? And I, at the same time, said that, look, we have full disclosure, we have clear guidelines, and I'm just so glad that all of us are mindful of a wider perspective and a wider objective, which is way beyond our own personal bias. And I'm very happy to say that I have seen judges taking very, very good care of the wider perspective. That's a nice thing to see.
Thank you.
So one thing to add is the diversity of our judging panel helps a lot. I mean, for this bias or argument, depends on how you look at it. As per my memory, we don't argue a lot. I mean, we usually respect each other's comments, and sooner or later we can come to a decision who is the winner. In my past so many years experience as a judges.
Yeah, the judges come out different professional. I think in my field of professionalism, I was member of the RICS. We don't just not allow bias. we are working on no bias in our works. So I don't think the bias in our professional will exist. Personally, during not only for these purposes of the judges and also all the works that we have been doing.
Let's move on to the process itself, gentlemen. What if, let's say, the entire judging panel is torn between two major candidates? How do you choose the winner? Go ahead, Dr. Ken.
Unfortunately, this does happen. Well, not often, but it does happen occasionally. And I think as a judge, it can become quite a headache for us when you're presented with two very strong entries, both deserving the merit to be recognized as the outright winner. And when such occasion occurs, I think there are one or two things you can do. First, you can either revisit the nature or the category of which the entries are competing for, and you would ask the judges to kind of rethink and reassess, and to base the decision on the criteria given for that particular category. And often or not, this would quite immediately resolve such an awkward situation where one of them would kind of emerge as the outright winner. And if this process fails, and I'm afraid this is where the respective the regional chairperson will step in and help decide the winner, because as far as I understand, he or she would be the person responsible for presenting the project to the grand final judging panel for the grand final awards. So that would be my humble opinion.
Right. I fully agree with that. And I would just add two more points. Number one, I believe in cream floating to the top. And through a robust discussion, we always solicit the best views from all the judges on every entry, have a robust dialogue, have an argument if we need to, and hopefully we come to a consensus, which is in the best of Asian tradition. We try to come to a consensus. But as Dr. Yip was saying, sometimes that fails. And when that fails, we go to point number two. Our fail-safe measure of putting it to a vote. And as a chairman of the Hong Kong Macau panel, I'm happy to say that when we have a tie, I'll put in my casting vote. And therefore, I think the important thing is to solicit honest opinions. Number two, try to come to a consensus. And number three, when all else fails, put it to a vote. And that's how we get the best entries, and that's how the best entry will always come up tops.
Thank you, Chairman Paul. Greg, James, anything you want to add?
For me, the most important thing is site inspection. I mean, when you walk into the site, walk into the building, I mean, you will tell. If you look at the design, the efficiency, the materials, more important, the workmanship. I mean, it will make the difference, and it will tell you who is the winner. Although the scale is very similar, I mean, the GFA is very similar, but if you do the site inspection, if you can, it will tell you who is the winner. I mean, this is my experience.
Yeah, it's difficult to find, some things that who is very identical, right? There must be some difference between those two subjects, especially on the property, right? So I think it is the use of all the knowledge from the professional and the judges. I think, through the final, scanning and vote, I think we could able to define the difference between them. Of course, just as chairman said, if it doesn't happen, I think the final there will be a final vote to decide it anyway.
And how about if a judge is connected to a certain project or developer? Are they still allowed to cast their vote? What is the process in such a case?
Well, I think the answer to this is pretty straightforward. For those individuals who are connected or linked to a certain project or an award entry, whether as a designer or a developer or consultants involved, that particular judge will be excused from voting and giving their opinion on that particular entry. I think no questions about it. And this is just a sensible procedure to avoid any, potential conflict of interest. And we do ask all the judges to be mindful and to declare anything potential conflict of interest upfront. I think we have a zero tolerance policy towards this matter. And I know, although it sounds quite harsh to the viewers, but this is just all to ensure that there's fairness across all participants and giving credibility to the eventual awards recipients.
Well, I largely agree with Dr. Yip. We have a very strict code of conduct, not just within the Asia Property Awards, but for all of us who serve in civic duties and for all of us that are professionals, or whether we're professionals or not. The declaration of interest is something that this awards process takes very seriously. So that is upfront and very much in everyone's face, and I'm glad it is. Now, as far as voting is concerned, that obviously is something which will not be allowed. A person, regardless of whether interest has been declared, is not allowed to vote. Now, as to whether the person can participate in the discussion, I think there might be some room for flexibility there, but certainly the person who is connected to a project should not be allowed to dominate discussions. However, he might have something to contribute, and that opinion might actually serve the process in a rather positive manner. So I would not necessarily disallow contribution of opinion, but I would certainly insist on declaration of interest, and I would certainly insist on the person not voting.
Totally agree with Dr. Ken and Chairman Paul.
Agree. For the yesterday meeting, I just declared a project in Macau that I may have personal conflict. So I just remind everyone clearly that I will not vote for that.
Okay, for our fifth question, this year, gentlemen, you will be presenting several accolades to our winners. Among the titles to be presented is the Best Integrated Work from Home Development. Do you think that this will remain a must-have feature for users with offices opening up?
I think absolutely. I think the office or the workplace, where traditionally, showing your face every day used to be the name of the game. I think this game or this old-fashioned mentality has now changed. For many companies, the pandemic and the hybrid working have now completely changed the very idea and the purpose of the workplace. And the office of today, in a post-pandemic world, I believe, is what a lot of experts are now referring to as a social destination. So as a result, a lot of the modern day offices are now being radically redesigned. And if you think about it, right, in the past, the concept or the notion of an office design was functional at best, because it was simply the place where employees went because they had to. And in management speak, there has been a paradigm shift, so to speak. Since the pandemic, the offices of many multinational companies have had a dramatic facelift. So for example, outgone rows of desks and cubicles, and income collaboration spaces and relaxation zones. And I think the main driver for this type of redesign boom is hybrid working. So where in the post-pandemic world, working partly at home and working partly in the office is now seen as the new normal by many employees of these multinational companies. And I think this has redefined the purpose of company offices and the reasons why employees have to go there. So take Twitter, for example. I think recently the CEO have announced cutting down the number of workplaces and would even provide a work from home kind of subsidy so the employees can purchase better equipment to work at home. So so simply my answer is yes.
Just one supplement. I think there is absolutely no doubt that the hybrid work environment is here to stay. The way I would address this question is that we should be flexible. The extent to which the hybrid model sustains itself and possibly elevates itself to a higher level of importance depends on the environment and depends on how things progress from here. Therefore, what is important for us is not so much whether it will be here. It will definitely be here. It is the level of importance that we attach to it, whether it's going to be one of the top 5 items in the list of awards or the bottom 5 or somewhere in the middle. And that, I think, can actually change from year to year, depending on what's happening in the market and what's happening in the environment. And just as everything else that's happening globally, things are really susceptible to change. And we just need to be quick on our feet and be nimble.
I agree with Paul. I mean, we should be very flexible because COVID is changing year by year or month by month. So the working style, I think it should be flexible. It's changing every day or every year.
I think this hybrid working space, I think, will be maintained. Further agree, and the work at home is a trend. Also work in the office. So before, in a traditional way of this, we're looking at the beauty of the building externally. Okay, of course we're looking at internally as well. But for the working environment, because of the COVID, now the people will more concentrate on the internal working environment. Not only the offices, but the office, including the home environment together, and how to make the work more efficiency and more efficiency, more helpful, things like that. So I think it will get on. So it is agree. One of the very new things in the market, and will be continued.
You will also be presenting awards to developments that prioritize health and wellness and are eco-friendly. In this day and age, how crucial is it that we continue to reward such projects?
I think certainly very important, and these projects should be encouraged. To me, I think the reason is pretty straightforward. As repeated studies have shown that a focus on employee and workplace well-being can result in many, many benefits, such as improved productivity, increased morale, like fewer sick leaves, and better staff retention. So I think ideally, a well-rounded workplace should focus on elements such as, flexible work areas, office neighborhoods, private space, ergonomic furniture, natural light, thermal comfort, water and air quality. In essence, I think something for everyone. And in the past, many green, building standards such as LEED have focused solely or primarily on the built environment, like in terms of like materiality and energy consumption. But I think as the tides have shifted and the lines between work and life becomes more blurred, and it's even more vital for employers to kind of prioritize the well-being for the people. So new certification standards or relatively newer certification standards, such as the WELL standard, are emerging and kind of revolutionizing the way people think about buildings. So for example, WELL now explores how design, operations and behaviors within the places where we live, work and learn and play can be optimized to advance human health and well-being. So this includes requirements in air, water, like nourishment, light, fitness, comfort, and the mind. So in practice, this could translate to design elements such as having a fitness room or a gym, having things like purified drinking water stations, or even access to fresh air or green space by like a courtyard or outdoor sitting area, etc., etc. So this means recognizing that creating such an environment is an investment, but not a quick fix. But yes, put it simply, I think these projects should be encouraged.
Well, the two key concepts here, I think, are number one, young professional workers, and number two, work-life balance. However, there is still a generational difference in perception between people of an older age, like myself, and the rest of you. But I'm glad to say that actually that gap is narrow. And what the Asia Property Awards has been doing in the past 1 or 2 years, and what I think it will continue to do in the next few years, is to try to bring those two concepts to the forefront, so that it's not just the young people that are clamoring for that improvement in work environment, but that people realize that it is a matter of investment. It is a matter of making sure that all your workers are happy coming into the office, offering the best with an increase in productivity. So I have no doubt that we should continue to promote that work-life balance and to continue with that improvement in work environment.
James, Greg?
For me, I think one works come from our professional sustainable. I think a sustainable building, including what just Dr. Gately and Dr. Chairman Paul said, is all including, not only the building, not only the building material, now including the internal, the working environment, the people working in there, how to make their better working place. I think, sustainable building, is one of the best.
Well, I think we should continue emphasize or encourage this green and or eco environment or features in our awards. Given, the whole world is doing this, the G20, all the MNC and global firms are encourage these inputs and all these features. This is a norm already. I think it's part of our works, so we cannot forget it.
Okay, gentlemen, we are down to our last question. Now, each of you were appointed because of your valuable contributions to the industry, which means that your responsibilities extend to more than just being a judge. So we wonder, what is it that makes this role worth your time?
Well, obviously, it's the fame and fortune, right? No, I'm just kidding. Well, in real estate, people always talk about, location. I think for me, being involved as a judge, it's about the experience. So the experience to be connected and to learn from other industry experts, and the opportunity to review and assess some of the best real estate projects and designs from across Asia. And most importantly, interacting with the people, especially the team at the Property Guru Group, and especially the unsung heroes behind the scene that makes this event into a success. And lastly, I think it's the opportunity to gain new insights and fresh ideas from my fellow colleagues, all of which have made the experience very rewarding, and I would say it's a priceless experience.
Chairman Paul?
Yes, fame and fortune is all very fine and nice. And in the case of the Asia Property Awards, I think there is quite a bit of fame and fortune, but I think the benefits really comes from something which might sound a little bit cliche, but actually, when you look at property companies across the spectrum, across the universe, and looking at it globally, all of us have been looking at a profit motive. In the past few years, and ironically, probably as a result of the dichotomy between the have and the have-nots, as exemplified in many countries. You actually have a new movement coming out. In the Western countries, minimum corporate tax is now being championed, and with good results. In China, for example, there is talk of common prosperity. I mean, all these are actually in response to the fact that there's a very significant majority of people who feel that they are being left behind. And I think what Asia Property Awards have been doing in this respect, in terms of increasing the level of competence, elevating standards in the property industry, bringing in ESG, making sure that professional qualifications are being stressed, and that companies look at design, companies look at the impact on the carbon footprint. I think all these are really very important and really admirable qualities that all of us should champion. And I'm just happy to be part of it. And I'm happy to see that all our fellow judges and all the participants are giving this more and more prominence over the years. And I'm sure that this will continue.
Thank you, Chairman Paul.
I think the most attractive point for me is firstly the word is Asia, right? We normally look at the world. So what is the world's most beautiful, the best building? Now seems like we concentrate on the platform of looking at the Asia, right? So I've been in the Asian market for very long. So when I do the angle to different angle to actually weight a best building or the award, this is how it works. So it's not just the beauty from the architect or just maybe the best of the, for example, the revenue or income or the best material of the building. It's a building set with balance, it's a very good balancing, and then rent it out at the end. So I think this is how I was very interested, become a judge in here and also to do this job.
So finally, it's me. For me, I mean, this judging process is a good opportunity for me to learn. I mean, I can see a lot of new buildings, new design, new architects every year. So it's a really, good process for me to learn as a real estate professional. I enjoy it very much, honestly.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Now, before we end this episode, may we have our chairpersons invite our leading developers and designers to participate in the 2022 edition of the Property Guru Asia Property Awards. We have from mainland China, Hong Kong, and Macau.
Well, the countdown to the 2022 Asia Property Awards, mainland China, has begun. As one of the region's largest and most respected real estate awards program, we're back again to recognize and to celebrate the most outstanding real estate projects, developers, designers, and industry players in the market. So please nominate now if you think you have an award-winning projects and developments. And for more information, you can visit www.asiapropertyawards.com. And we look forward to seeing the entries.
Chairperson Paul?
I have been associated with the Asia Property Awards for the past 8 years, and I'm just happy to be able to report that over the years, I have seen this awards program move from strength to strength with an increase in the level of participation and in the standard of developers, designers, and professional firms getting involved. The best have always been here, regardless of the economic cycle, regardless of property cycle, regardless of pandemic. What we have seen is the Asia Property Awards pushing the entire Asian property market and the hotel development market onto a higher stratosphere, moving from strength to strength, and all of you have been contributing to the success of the program. Don't wait for the organizers to call you. Call them up. Get in on the ground floor. Get your participation well recognized. You all have wonderful projects. Don't let them go to waste. see you at the final awards evening. Thank you.
Once again, our deepest appreciation to all our judges for generously devoting your time and expertise to our awards program. We would also like to remind everyone that nominations are open until the 30th of September, so make sure to send in your entries on time. Submissions are accepted at asiapropertyawards.com. Special shout out to our partners this year: official channel partner, History; official PR partner for Mainland China, MMG; official PR partner for Hong Kong and Macau, Artemis Associates; official ESG partner, Bondec Foundation; media partners for Hong Kong and Macau, Ming Tiandi, Yacht Style, Luxuo, Palace; supporting associations for Mainland China, Global Design Awards Lab, IFC, Excellence in Design for Greater Efficiencies; official magazine, Property Guru, Property Report; official supervisor, HLV. There you have it, the distinguished judging panel of the 9th Property Guru Asia Property Awards, Mainland China, Hong Kong, and Macau. Thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you in the next episode.